So how does the Visa Bulletin actually work? You're watching my videos every single month. I post about the Visa Bulletin, but how does it work? What are priority dates and how do we read it? In this video, I'll break it down step by step. So priority dates. How does the Visa Bulletin actually work? As I mentioned before, you're watching my videos every single month. I talk about the Visa Bulletin. I explain what's happening, but what are actually priority dates and how do they apply to the Visa Bulletin? I'm going to explain to you what priority dates are, how do we establish priority dates, why priority dates are actually very important, the two different charts in the Visa Bulletin, the final action dates, and the dates of filing chart. Why do we have annual quotas and limits in the different visa categories? Analyzing the actual Visa Bulletin, what is retrogression, and why do they issue the Visa Bulletin usually 2-3 weeks in advance to the month that it's being issued. All these issues I'm going to try to break down as fast as I can in this video. Listen, my friends, the concept of priority date is very confusing to many of you. I know this because I read the comments and I read your messages. There is a statutory limit. It's actually set in statute. How many people may be granted green cards every year in every category? This applies in family-based categories as well as in employment-based. In this kind of cases, the government uses priority date to determine when an immigrant can actually file for the green card and when a green card will become available. The priority date, as I mentioned before, will determine when a person can file for adjustment of status inside the United States, or if they are outside of the United States, it will determine when a visa will become available. Therefore, understanding priority date is extremely important for your immigration process. Before I explain this in detail, if you're here for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos, and also give us a big like so YouTube will be able to show this video to more people just like you. As always, if you need help with your immigration matters, all you have to do is send me a text to 619-483-4549 or go to www.immigrationasap.com and one of our team members will contact you ASAP. So, first of all, how do we establish a priority date? In employment-based cases, when you file your PERM labor certification with the Labor Department, that's when you establish the priority date for employment-based cases. You'll have that date listed on your PERM application. If you file a green card without a labor certification, let's say under the National Interest Waiver or EB-1A, the priority date will be established when you file Form I-140. You'll see that date on your receipt. If you're filing a family-based application, your priority date will be established when you file Form I-130, the most common petition used to immigrate family members. However, if you're filing a green card for a spouse of a U.S. citizen or a parent of a U.S. citizen, remember that you don't have to worry about a priority date because in those cases, these are immediate visas available for you. You don't have to wait in those cases. These are the only exceptions. If you are a foreign national and you're now inside the United States and you're applying for an employment-based petition, let's say EB-2 or EB-3, if you're inside the United States, you need to know, because of the backlog of these visas, when is your turn to file for your green card. That is going to be established by your priority date and the Visa Bulletin of the particular month. Number one. Number two, if you are a family-based petition, and again, either you're inside the United States or outside the United States, you want to know first when a green card will become available for you, or if you're inside the United States, when you can file for adjustment of status. You're going to use your priority date to check the Visa Bulletin and see if your date is after the date listed on the Visa Bulletin of the particular month, then you know that you can either file your case if you're inside the United States, or a visa will be available for you if you're waiting at an embassy or consulate overseas. Therefore, priority dates are very, very important because when you're looking at the Visa Bulletin, every month I present to you a video about the current Visa Bulletin. If you don't understand how the priority date works, then you're not going to understand how to read the Visa Bulletin. Remember, your priority will have to be either current or after the date that is listed on the current Visa Bulletin. Remember, on the Visa Bulletin, we have two charts. One chart is the final action dates, and chart number 2 is called dates for filing chart. Remember, the first chart, the final action chart, is very important because it tells us when an immigrant visa is actually going to be available for you. And that means until the dates are current in the final action dates chart, you're not going to be able to get your green card approved. It is very important. Now, if you're inside the United States and you already filed and you're waiting and you're pending, your green card will not be approved until the dates will be current on the final action date chart. Now, what is the chart dates for filing? What is the difference? If you're overseas and your dates are current in the dates for filing chart, that means that now it's time for you to assemble and prepare your documents to be sent to the National Visa Center. If you're inside the United States and those dates are current, that means you'll be able to file for your adjustment of status inside the United States. Now remember, until the dates are current in the final action dates, you're not going to be able to get approved and get your green card, but you'll be able to file and start the process if you are in legal status inside the United States. Therefore, in some cases, it might be a little bit faster for people that are currently inside the United States and they are legal to be able to start their green card process if the dates for filing chart is current. In some cases, it's a little bit faster. But again, until the dates are current in the final action dates chart, you're not going to be able to get your green cards approved. Now, what are cutoff dates and why are they so important? Now remember, the reason why there are dates on the Visa Bulletin, we call them cutoff dates. So you can see the different dates for the different countries. For example, if you're from China, India, Mexico, the Philippines, you might have different dates on your chart for different categories as opposed to somebody who was born in a different country. So for example, if you look at F2A category, which is spouses of green card holders, if you are not from India, the Philippines, China, or Mexico, you will have faster processing times than people who are coming from those countries because there are too many immigrants that are coming from those countries. And therefore, the government have to set up what is called cutoff dates to limit the number of people that are immigrating from a particular country and from a particular visa category. Now, remember that we also have per country limits. So no matter how big or small the country is, they have a certain number of immigrants that can immigrate from that country. Therefore, countries that usually send a lot of immigrants, like India, China, and the Philippines, are usually have longer wait times because they already used up the allocation for their particular country, as opposed to a country like, say, Germany or France that have less immigrants that are being sent to the United States every year. Remember that the Visa Bulletin is always issued a few weeks in advance. So for example, if you're watching this video in June and we already have the July Visa Bulletin, whatever states in the Visa Bulletin in July will only apply in July. So for example, if one category is going to be unavailable in July, it means you have to hurry up and apply in June so you'll be able to make it while your category is still current. This happens every once in a while. We had this thing happen in 2017 when the EB3 category was becoming retrogress and people knew about it a few weeks in advance, so they were hurrying up like crazy to be able to file if they were ready to qualify before it retrogress. Same thing could happen this year. If EB3 category will be retrogress in August, people know that if they're eligible, they're going to start filing in July to be able to meet the deadline. So it's always important to look at the Visa Bulletin as soon as it comes out, because you'll have a few weeks to act if your visa category will become retrogress or unavailable in the month ahead. Now, let's talk about retrogression, for example. What happens if you file a case, let's say in May, while visas are still current, and then the category retrogresses in August? Now remember, as long as you filed your adjustment of status inside the United States before the retrogression, USCIS will continue to work on your case. What's going to happen is that you're not going to be able to get an approval, but you're still going to be able to get your work permit, your travel document, even if your visa category is not available. If you're overseas, that's a different story. If you're overseas, that means you're going to have to keep waiting until your category will become current, because the embassy is not going to give you an interview if there's no visa available for you. Now remember, therefore, I always tell my applicants, if you are able to be in the United States in any capacity, in legal status, and you're going through the green card process, it's always much better because dates for filing is always a little bit faster than final election dates. And also, if you file your application, like a lot of our clients in the F2A category, when they filed for the green card and then this category went back in time, they still were able to stay in the United States on their work permits, be with their spouses. So if you can't be inside the United States, do so, as long as you're in legal status. Remember, the Visa Bulletin numbers are very important in the green card process because these priority dates is what determines how fast you'll be able to get your green card. Remember, it's not enough just to be documented complete. It's not enough just to get to the National Visa Center. It is also important to make sure that you have a visa category available for you. I get calls from applicants and say, hey, I've been documented complete for a year and a half, and I don't have an interview yet. And then I go into the Visa Bulletin and I check, and I see their priority date is not current yet. And that's why there's no interview. So hopefully you now understand what priority dates are and how to look at the Visa Bulletin. If you found this information helpful, please make sure to share my video with somebody that might need it. And if you need help with your immigration matters, all you have to do is send me a text, 619-483-4549, or go to www.immigrationasap.com and leave your information there. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.